Hey, you guys, welcome back to EXP Family Tree Wednesday Mastermind. Today we have Sharon Casey here again with her monthly mastermind around optimizing and simplifying your business from an operations perspective, but lots of topics that fall into this. We're super excited to bring it to you guys. As always, we are live streaming in EXP Workplace and EXP Family Tree. So hi to you guys that are watching live. If you can join us via Zoom so you can join the live conversation this way, or you can chat underneath the live stream and I'll watch it if you have questions for Sharon. And then if you want to share this with somebody else that's not inside the EXP space, this will be up on my YouTube channel within 24 hours. So you can certainly share it out there. We like to bless as many people with the information that we provide as possible. So without further ado, welcome back, Sharon. What are we talking about today?
I have been looking forward to this so much because there's been a lot of stuff happening with optimization in my world lately. And last month we focused on your personal optimization. So you're taking care of you. How are you using your time? What are some of the hacks that I shared, on using your calendar better and some apps and other systems that can help you be more aligned within your daily, work as a leader within your own organization. Super fun topic. And it always does start with us self-leading, because we can't lead others if we can't lead ourselves. So that's why I kind of kicked it off last month with how do we best lead ourselves and then order to build our businesses around that efficiency. So today we're going to move on to our people. And so if you're an independent agent without any staff or others around you, now you're wearing the hat of your operations side, right? Because you're doing all things. And so just want to kind of think about that. And then I have a sidekick over here. So sorry if you hear him a little bit over here having his lovely little lunch, but I'm a grandma as well. So I'm sharing my time with him today. So when we talk about our human capital in our business and how are we optimizing them, a couple of things that I think of that have really kind of come up in the last month as I work with teams is, are we maximizing people's talents? Now, when I say talent, I don't mean necessarily the job they were hired for. Sometimes you have some secret agents in there, in the sense that they have these hidden talents, hidden gifts that we haven't realized yet. And have you guys experienced this at all? Because I do all the time. I find out someone's got, does social media on the side, or they have, a side hustle where they're super creative, but they're in a TC role. So now they're really focused on their lane as a TC during their working hours, but then they have this whole other side of them that you could tap into in your business. So one of those things when we talk about our human capital is, if you have a staff member, if you have an assistant, or even a larger team with staff, are they being optimized to their talents and making sure that we're making best use of their time and your time? So one of the things I like to coach people to when it comes to that is, are we putting them in a position where they're always 100% capacity? There's no room to wiggle big, forwards or backwards. They're 100% max, 125% max. There's so much going on and they can't even come up for air. And it doesn't do any of us a service by having somebody so overloaded like that, because we want them to be able to have time for learning and growth and auditing our systems and diving into some new fun projects that they're passionate about. So one of the things is, are we making sure that we're spreading out that productivity, the tasks among our people and giving them some room to breathe, at 90%, giving them some flexibility. And that way, when we have those fun projects that come up, that all of a sudden, that bright, shiny thing that says, oh my gosh, we have this huge opportunity, we can do this, and nobody has capacity to help you. So part of doing that well is really defining the lanes of each of the people in your organization. And as I said, sometimes you are all hats, right? So if you're the agent hat, if you're the CEO hat, if you're the admin hat, sometimes you just have to segment those things in your brain already for when that day comes that you can hire somebody to help you. How many of you have staff now that you're leading already? Okay, so, and yeah. And so part of it is are we clear about what their expectations are? And are we following through as a leader to get them into our world and performing at a high level? One of the things I always refer back to is our responsibilities as a leader because a lot of times as agents, we tend to bring people on, throw something at them and expect them to be able to learn and adapt right away. And it's sometimes you're lucky, you have talent that can do that. But in the big picture, similarly to when we got our licenses in real estate, the minute you got your license, you weren't a realtor. You didn't really know how to do everything real estate related, right? You had to have repetition. You had to have opportunities to talk to clients and write contracts and do compliance and all of those things. So part of it is knowing how important it is to continue to stay connected with your people as they are growing in the organization. So when I talk about that 80% that we want to bring somebody on as, even in let's talk about existing staff, because I know that there's some sitting behind Jen right there, and we want to make sure that, we're giving them opportunities. So it's our job to always continually retain them. From day one, when we hire them, we're in retention mode. We want to make sure that we're providing them with opportunities to do the things that they're really great at. So one way to do that when we bring on a new person in our world is to really find that thing that they're already really good at. You hired them for a reason. Are they organized? Do they already know how to do files? Do they already know how to work contracts? Like, what is their sweet spot? What is their superpower? Enable that and allow them to grow with something they already can master and that they can take ownership right away. We all know that feeling day one in the office when we're just like glom, we're side by side and we're watching videos and onboarding things and all that stuff. And it's so like, but when you actually get handed a task that you can win at, it's going to give you energy and it's going to give you, you feel proud about your ability to contribute to the team. So the 80% capacity idea too, you guys, is to make sure that you are providing cross-training opportunities to be able to leverage each other. So if you're the backup to the ops, make sure you both are on the same page on what's going on and that you can help support them in an absence or they support you in an absence, right? So when you're the leader and the CEO of the business, anytime there's a gap, that job comes back to you. So you have to stay connected to the work in order to best serve your team. So that cross-training piece is really important. And I'll give an example today or this week. We found there was a team that we're working with that needed to start bringing their transaction coordination in-house because their contracted EC is moving on. And one of our new employees actually worked for that company as a TC. So even though that person's current role with the team is their main listing coordinator, we can leverage her to help us in the transition for the new transaction coordinator that we are hiring. So it's thinking outside the box and being able to allow people to find some ways to contribute temporarily until we get through a key area. When you think about the people, and again, we're talking about how are we going to optimize our people in the business, they are the highest expense in our business. So we want to make sure that we're ready when we have to have that bench available to fill a gap, but we also want to maximize them to the potential. And that's when we start assessing our systems. Do the systems support the people that we have? Or are we trying to fill a hole with a person versus a process? And part of this whole optimization theme is always assessing what could be done, what could be automated, what could be systematized before we start throwing bodies at it or other people at it. Has that been an issue for anybody on the call so far? Like where you're like, I can't tell if I need another person or if my systems are just kind of out of whack. Anybody? Thoughts? Okay.
I usually know I have the staff. I'm not great at always directing them to, to go do what is needed to be done. Like I know there's more that needs to be done and I'm just still trying to do it because I haven't been able to train them to do it yet.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I think if we allow people that are good at systems to really create some good, efficient systems around things, they can handle a lot. It's just oftentimes we're getting in our own way of allowing them to do it. And I think that's been the biggest struggle for me.
Yeah. Anyone else? I agree, Cari. And I think that's part of it is, I think I've come a long way in being good at delegating because that was always my fear is like, if I'll just do it myself because it's faster and we all go through that, but we aren't doing anybody a service with their growth if we don't give them the chance to experience and try new things. And I think like, again, as a leader, our job is to set the standard. Then it is to prepare them and provide them with the tools that they need to be successful and inspect what we expect. And at the beginning, we should expect some failures. Like there's going to be hiccups in the process. And that's where the grace comes in, where, you know, we always want to say, what did I not do as a leader to prepare them properly to succeed? And I want to give them all the tools necessary in order to do that. So some of those things are just the biggest thing is the constant communication and feedback loop. So back in the day, I come from corporate for years and years and years before I got into real estate. And you had your annual review, or you had you only heard when you did bad things, right? And so that feedback loop is so important to praise and to course correct when needed, right? Because we want to make sure that there's never a time where they don't know where they stand in their job. And those conversations can be tricky and not fun sometimes, but I think, again, when you bring on staff and you're setting expectations up front, it's always clarity is kind. We want to make sure that sometimes this job gets hard. Sometimes there's things we don't know. Sometimes we make mistakes. And the way I handle that is we talk about it and we move on. It's not personal, it's professional, we move on. And so when those conversations do have to happen with our people, it's not a surprise. And we don't wait until 2 weeks later after we've festered on it for a while to have a conversation about it, right? And that's where they learn how to be leaders, because they know it's a safe space to have those conversations. And it's tricky because we're busy and we want to make sure that we're still doing our job, generating the revenue, being the rainmaker, doing all the things. But we have to be available as the CEO of our companies to check in and make sure our team are doing okay. When you have a leader that's emerging among you. So I'm all about self leadership and moving us forward, but also identifying and rewarding people that really step in and are living, are doing everything they can to help you succeed. And I have found I've been really fortunate to have amazing VAs that I've hired and worked with. And I tell you what, when you get one that is super accountable and they want to succeed and they love, to grow and whatever, I just continually bring more to them, give them, salary increases or bonuses, give them more authority, give them some leadership opportunities, treat them as an equal, and you'll just watch them thrive. Another example of that is, there was an opportunity to bring on a second VA on a team, and the existing VA had been there for 4 years already. And so we just said, would you want to be this person's leader and coach? And they just rose to the occasion. And it took the pressure off of the director of operations to have to do everything, because the two VAs could then work side by side. And, to this day already, he's helped construct the onboarding plan, done the side-by-sides, handed off tasks as they come forward, is eyes on everything all the time. What a great opportunity for them to shine. And then also provide you with additional opportunities in the future, because you can trust that person if you were to bring on another person. Do any of you have virtual assistants that you're already working with? Yeah. And or are going to hire? Because I think that's the other part, is some people have come to me and said, I think we need to hire a VA. I'm like, great, who does that job now? Well, it's not really defined. Then don't hire a VA yet, because you need to know it, and you need to own it, and you need to know what to expect from it, and you need to have a very well documented process in order to then train and hand that off to another person, whether it's a VA or somebody in your office. And that's when you'll succeed, just making sure that you have a really good plan to bring on that new person. Also, it's there are things that we have to do in our jobs that we don't love. Unfortunately, that's the way it is. And what we want to do is balance those things that really bring us joy and energy with the things that suck. And so when it comes to your staff, there's going to be things that they're like, don't love calling people. Most of our ops people who are TCs or whatever, they just want to do their job, check the boxes, whatever. And then they have to call the inspector or the title company or whatever. They hate making those phone calls. But if we can balance that with, oh man, my person loves doing events and loves being involved in planning things and loves like trying new things and giving them more opportunity on that side of it to balance the stuff that doesn't feel so good, there's always going to be a win. And we want to make sure that, again, we're retaining them by offering them new opportunities. Any thoughts on any of that, guys? Perfect. I'm just really big on clarity. And I think when we talk about what our human capital is, we're in such a weird stage of professional business right now with virtual people. Like our teams are fully virtual. Most, we're all in the US or Philippines or whatever. Some of us aren't in the same room or together. And you have to have that trust and accountability without overstepping into that range of micromanagement. And so part of that is just, I believe in people so much. I want them to succeed. I want them to grow. But when I'm seeing some gaps or I have some questions on when things aren't happening, we're going to have those conversations. And again, as a leader, I think the hardest part is being able to find the time or keep your promise to be that leader for your team. So when it's easy to get sucked up into the world of appointments and running all over town, but you have to put on your hat as a leader and as a CEO on a regular basis so they can count on you. Keeping your promises as a leader is the most important thing. Consistency for your people and treating them like they're the most important appointment of your day is super important too, because the more times you cancel your meeting with your people who need you to help make decisions and move forward, then you're no longer reliable to them. And so that trust goes both ways. They want to know that you feel that they're equally as important to meet with, to discuss the strategies of the business, to move the business forward, to answer the questions that they need from you, as it is for you to count on them to do those things. I wanted just to take some time just to talk about the ways that you provide opportunities for your people to learn or grow inside or outside of your organizations. Do you guys have any things that you've found so far or been able to, I know we're talking about going to EXPCon in October, which is amazing because it's going to be a great team building opportunity, plus learning and networking. But do your team members love like opportunities like that to be coached or grow, or resources that are available to them?
Yeah, so I would say, so yesterday I hosted like my first ever event for like all the local agents of Wichita Falls. I actually had 5 different brokerages total like show up. Trust me, if you only knew my small little town, this was like a huge, massive win. I try to host things like at my house. So from like 8 to 10 every day is when I do all my lead gen and follow-ups. So like all my agents know here, either I can log on Zoom or we'll do something Monday through Friday. I always do that. So that's an opportunity I give to all my agents. And then I would say like once a week, now that everyone's kiddos are back in school and stuff, now we're going to try to do like once a week at someone's house, and we just did like, I don't know, we just went and got like fruit and veggies. And I mean, now I'm eating chicken nuggets because who doesn't love chicken nuggets? And now we're going to have a Supreme pizza. I don't know. Now we're just going to veg out and eat, but then I think it's helpful because then we learned some new stuff on the Palm agent that Rashawn was doing that I didn't even know existed. I didn't even know I was paying for it. Actually, she's like, girl, you be paying for, I'm like, I don't know. Sometimes I just get my credit card and forget. I feel like in real estate, you forget the things you buy. So it was cool. I didn't even know we had that app. I've had that app for almost 3 years. And she was like, look, it makes all these things for you. I was like, wow, that is legit. So I don't know. I feel like meeting up once a week in person is super helpful because then you can just point things out. She had different buyers checklists that I had like these different ones. And I was like, oh, I kind of like those better. So I sent it to my assistant. I was like, copy this, put my colors and my picture on this. And then I was able to add them too. And I was like, and add these agents' photos to theirs so they have some for their buyers too.
Awesome. I love that.
So that's what
And
we
I
do.
think that, yeah, and I think we're in a place in life where we're all about collaboration, right? So there's no I don't like to think about a hierarchy in business because we all rely on each other to get the job done. So when we're involving people and equipping people and they're valued and their opinions matter, I mean, you're just going to get more from them, right? You're going to get more buy-in, you're going to get engagement, you're going to get retention. All of those things are going to happen organically because you're opening yourself up to be part of the team. And there's not this like hierarchy of control,
Oh, yeah.
if you will. But I also want to
Micromanage.
go ahead. I'm sorry.
I do not micromanage.
Yeah.
I'm not into that at all. I don't have like the mental capacity to micromanage. Yeah, no.
Fully agree. I think also, so I talk a lot about growth because when I hire people, I want to know what do you want? What are your future goals? I've had to coach a lot of CEOs on, they would make the comment like, well, I don't want to hire them because they're going to leave in 2 years. And I'm like, why would they leave in 2 years if you give them an opportunity to grow? You know, because they're talented. You know, nobody wants to sit in the same role unless that's what you want without any opportunities ahead of you. But I do want to talk about that because there are people out there that are amazing employees that just are happy doing what they're doing. They have found that they've got the balance that they want. They've got the schedule that they want. They're doing things that give them joy. They're happy. They're good. Somebody called them a cul-de-sac employee once. They just kind of stay in their little world here, and it's okay. So sometimes we get into this thing of like, well, man, they just don't want to do anything different. They're not willing to grow. That's not what we're about. Well, it doesn't mean they're negatively impacting your team. It means that they're at a place where they found in the joy and they're still giving you what you need from them. And when opportunities come up and they're offered them and they decline, then we're all good because we're going to find the person that wants to fill that role, right? As long as we know that we're getting what we expect from them, that we're curating a lifestyle that they want, and they have no reason to want to leave, and that we are happy and they're happy, that's good. That's great. Like their passions are different than our passions. Yeah. So, and that's super important to recognize right away, because I think we get oftentimes too in a hurry to hire out of pain, and we end up choosing someone and then find out later that, like, well, I don't do weekends, or I don't do this. And that's like, well, wait a minute, we're in real estate, we all do weekends, right? So having that upfront conversation, but being flexible about what your needs are, just knowing that what are the non-negotiables and what are the things that you can work within, especially with kiddos, right? Because when you have people with kids, you want to meet them where they are. They've got a lot on their plate. And I love that you're, redoing your schedule a little bit around the fact that they now have that availability, and you've been able to allow them to live their best life up until then. I love my little singing boy here. So when it comes to growth opportunities, then first and foremost, you want to make sure that you yourself are growing and you're an example to your team. He's never this chattery. I'm so sorry, guys. But yeah,
I can't hear him that much. It's really light.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. He's just a hootie.
Oh, look, we got a little guy in this room too.
Oh, hey. Okay. Well, I can show you my little guy. Yeah. But this is me living my best life, right? I get to take care of him. Yeah. So I think ultimately the bottom line, you guys, I want to make sure we take away from this is we are responsible. We are the leader. We are the CEO. We have people depending on us both to get out there and make the money as the rainmaker, but also to lead us well. And so when you have emerging talent, we want to always make sure that we're hiring that person and equipping them to do so, and then giving them the authority and the autonomy that they need to do their job well. But I want us to all remember how important it is to stay connected, and that feedback loop is both ways. They have to have the ability to come back to you to deal with their situations and their questions and their feedback about your performance as much as it is the other way around. What else was I going to talk about? Sorry. What do you think? I always intend for these to go so well and so professional and so well scripted, but I'm pretty much just straight shooter here. So I feel like the other part of what I do is really bring out things in people that they probably wouldn't necessarily admit to themselves. And then having the ability to kind of think outside the box in the way to make things work. So when we talked about what people are needing if you have a need for a assistant or another person in your world, there's more than ways than just hiring a W-2 employee. We have a lot of moms out there that didn't go back to the workforce after COVID that would love a job like 4 to 6 hours a day, doing some work while their kids are in school that could really fill a need for you. A lot of administrative tasks that you would want to have, like maybe it's part of your client care program or your events programs or things like that, where you can have some assistance on more of a per diem basis. And then just have some people who really like do well when they, they're organized and they like to do these little projects on the side, and you could really leverage them versus having your staff having to take on one more thing. There's different companies like Fiverr where you can contract out work. I have had Fiverr. Have you guys used a Fiverr before for any contract work? So it is a resource where you can find someone to do something for you, like mine a database or get my HubSpot set up or do things like that. They have those custom skill sets, and then you can book them for a one-time project fee or something like that. And there's a ton of talent out there. There's graphic design, there's database management, there's executive assistants, there's things like that. So again, sometimes when we start thinking about the needs of our business as we grow and expand, we might have like just short-term vision about how big of a deal this is. Is this a situational opportunity that we need, or are we really ready to pull the trigger on another hire? And then let your people who are in those roles now that know that they're already maxed out help you determine like what tasks they want to leverage that they will then allow them to grow in another way. Any thoughts on that? So
I've seen the work of Fiverr. I had a coworker when we were in the same office. She would come in and do presentations and that, and she used the Fiverr, and they did awesome work for her, putting graphics, data, whole 9 yards together, and it was really nice.
Yeah, I actually had them do some work for me where I was consolidating some data for somebody, and they did a pivot table in like 30 minutes for like 10 years worth of data, and that was amazing. So it's always like knowing when it's beyond your scope of like capacity, not only capacity, but like talent. Because for me, I think one of the things I know what I'm really good at, and I know what I'm not good at. And that's another really good point, is we give all of these tasks to our people, assuming that they maybe are excellent at it. And if they're a yes person and somebody that really wants to please you and help you grow, they may say yes when they need to say no. And then for me, it's social media. I am hopeless. I barely keep up with my own posts here and there. And then I Snapchat from my kids, and all I can do is say thumbs up, or something like that. But it's when and that, but it's also giving your people the opportunity to say, hey, I'm not the best person for that role, but let me see if I can find someone that can do that. And if it's a one-off thing, great. But if it's a constant thing that is a part of their role, then we have to go back and figure out how to coach them up to do that task at a high level. But yeah, so the purpose today was really to kind of talk through what do we want to optimize our people to make sure that they're then serving us at a high level, are doing things efficiently. They have the tools and equipment. They have the standards they know that you expect from them. They have capacity to audit the systems that you have in place, which can only happen if we aren't already overloading them. And giving them opportunities for growth, bringing in their great ideas, things like that, and making sure that we're always in the mode of retention. We never want people to, if leaving for them is something that ultimately is their next step anyways, like bring them to that spot, help them get there. I'm never want people to leave, but I'm someone myself who has found opportunities along the way. And I've always been super gracious, and the people I've worked for have done, lifted me up and assisted me into those new opportunities in life. So we don't want to hold those resentments, but if we're really ultimately not able to fill their need, we want to get them to that place in life where we found where we're so happy too. Thoughts or questions?
What thoughts and questions in general, as we wrap up the call, do you guys have as far as like, how do you really just optimize the productivity and the happiness and the, the relationship with your staff or your VAs or anything like that? Does anybody just have something while we have Sharon on the call? Because she literally just shared with me when she moved to Austin temporarily for 6 months, and then she continued to work for this very large team for 18 months. She hired 12 staff members for them. This was back during COVID. All of them, except for 2, are still in business with those teams, and they're very high performing teams throughout the city. And so she has tons of experience hiring and leading and training virtual assistants and other staff members. So while we have her, does anybody have questions that they would like to ask?
I don't have any questions, but for anyone who thinks that they don't need a VA because they don't think their business is ready for it, poor Cari had to deal with me for a year trying to convince me that I really needed a VA. And I finally did it, and it has changed like the quality of my life in all, as far as like time with my husband, time with my children. What's really great is I can send a text message for her to do something for me. And although it could only take me 10 or 15 minutes to do it, it takes me 10 seconds to text it. And I don't have to leave what I'm doing to then go grab my laptop, do it real fast, and be away from whatever I was actually doing. So because she helps me with my calendar, she will message me sometimes, "Hey ma'am, I see you're at soccer practice. I'm just doing this. Will you, if you have time, will you look this over?" And yeah, because I live in Texas, y'all. I'm living in hell right now. There's no other way to say it. It is like 115 degrees outside, and I'm suffocating. We're all suffocating. It's awful. Don't move here. I'm not a good buyer's agent right now. Seller's agent. Yeah, you probably do need to hire the VA. If you're feeling strung out, stressed, you feel like your to-do list aren't able to get done or anything like that, you need a VA. Like, don't be a cheap ass, just hire the VA. You cannot grow if you're going to be a cheap ass, if you do not invest in yourself, because now even that time gives me time to actually eat real food, actually get my workouts in. I can do, if I want to like take a day off, I'm not stressed. Like, I'm like, oh, the night before, I just set up a full up email of everything I want done that day. And it just like magically gets done. It's so magical. It's so magical.
I love it. Oh, it's so true. And I think there's such a mindset shift around it. But I mean, the people that I've hired are bachelor degree teachers, medical professionals, others that have just doing what we're doing. They want to live a life where they have more control over their time, that they give to be with their family when they want. Super talented people, very driven, very much want to succeed. And everybody deserves that opportunity. And we're just so lucky that the real estate space has provided people that are so global now that everybody's using virtual assistants. And so it's a network, a niche out there for people, and you can find amazing talent within there. And then once you have a great one, they find great people for you. They find they find your next hire for you. I'm curious. So Jenny Portillo, you said you have 3 new agents. I don't know if she's still on. I was just curious how that's going to bring on 3 agents at a time. I've been through that as well. Not here. Okay. Well, so, and the thing that happens most, and I think Jen could probably speak to it, is when you're getting to that stress point, that pressure point already, now you have to slow down to figure out how you're going to hire this person and how you're going to onboard them and what tasks you're going to give them and all of those things. And so you really have to kind of make space for that now early on, so that you know what pieces you're willing to give away of the business. And between Cari and I and others, we're here to help. We want to make sure that we can support our growth collaborative and others who are in that growth spurt, to make sure that you're able to stay focused on the business that you're working on, while we can help you on the backside, ensure that you get the talent that you need and help kind of structure what that could look like for you. And Terry says, I found out the hard way, which is always, sometimes we all have to go through that at some point, because And you learn from that, right? So we always say lessons are blessings. And so we want to make sure that we don't make that same mistake twice. And what could, and I always come back to what's my DNA in that? What could I have done different as a leader? What could I have done different as a coach and a trainer? Was it a culture fit? Was it a bad decision from the beginning, or what else could have been done differently? And then just start over, get through
Yeah,
it.
I always ask myself, where's my fingerprints? Instead of the DNA, I do the fingerprints. But what it was is I told them I wouldn't micromanage them. I gave them pretty much free range, and I didn't make the distinction between what is true micromanaging versus inspecting what you expect, and there is a difference, and and I'm still learning that. But just because you don't want to micromanage, you still need to look things over. It is your business after all.
It is for sure. And again, that initial conversation. So back when I was in the Keller Williams world, when we did career visioning, it was having that expectations conversation before day one. It is sitting down and saying, on a scale of 1 to 10, how honest do you want me to be with you? On a scale, on how do you want me to communicate with you? How do you want me to talk to you about difficult situations? Because I do not want to ambush people. I want them to know it's coming, right? And when you set those expectations up front day one, when you have that first conversation, you can say, hey, remember when we first started together and we said we're going to be honest with each other when things are, I have to have one of those conversations today. Are you okay with that? Or, and some people, their triggers, and they need time to process it. So if you can give them some examples, I would like to have a conversation with you about XYZ tomorrow at a good time, when we're both prepared to have this conversation. I want your feedback. So there's no instantaneous, and then there's defense and all of those things. And again, I want there to be as many positive conversations, if not more, than corrective action conversations. I mean, we don't take advantage of those enough when we have someone that's really shining and really showing up and really going above and beyond. I mean, those little shout outs or quick thank yous or like public acknowledgements are so important. So just don't think about feedback as always being on the negative side. Like take the opportunity to show, gratitude to people throughout the time that they're with you, so that they feel like it's genuine, it's encouraged, and they'll be doing that back at you and with the other people on the team. I'm looking, who's Lisa Martin? Is she still here? I see she's in Minnesota also. So I was just gonna say, hey, it's been 100. Yeah. It was 95 degrees in Minnesota yesterday, Jen. So it's been terrible here, muggy as well. So, but yes. I hear you. Cool. Awesome. So I just, again, optimization, we're just having topics about like ways that we can make life simpler, more efficient, best use of everybody's time. Processes are clear, simplified, get rid of the chaos, make sure that we're doing the right things in our business and eliminating any wasted energy on things that aren't bringing us value.
Yeah, so if there's topics you guys want to hear about operationally speaking, you can just quickly chat them in the chat box or find Sharon and I on Workplace Chat and just chat us. Every month, she's going to come in and talk specifically about some operations optimization. And so if there's things that you're like literally working on right now and you want to hear about it, it's probably other people want to hear about it too. So just let us know and we'll make sure that that is our next topic. We have it on the docket for September, October, November. So we're going to be here every month talking about operations. Feel free to bring a VA on or bring an admin on and have them join this conversation and ask their own questions or learn from Sharon and get to meet her. And, as we start to get more administrative professionals coming on this, the conversation might even change a little bit more on the route that Sharon's going to be able to take in terms of the training, and mastermind will continue to evolve. So we're here for you guys and we want to bring this to you and get you what you need. So please share with us what that is. Awesome. Thanks, you guys. Have a great rest of your week. See you soon.